Welcome to the Real P&L Trading Show, where I share my real P&L on 3 accounts, actually 4 accounts. I'm going to start sharing on 4 accounts today. And I also share my proprietary safe wheel strategy for free. All right. So first, I want to make sure my audio is working. You guys let me know in the comments that you can hear me okay. But I'm going to assume that everything is working. I know I've had audio issues in the past. Also, be sure to post any questions you might have about anything that you have about options. I'm available here, and I'm interested in your questions, and I want to be able to help you guys out. Okay, a couple of you guys, Devin, Kevin, told me that the audio is working, so that's great. Okay. First thing I want to talk about today is the Earnings Edge. So this is my Earnings Edge account. Here, you can see it on the screen. You can see I've got 7807, so I'm down lately on the Earnings Edge. Let's take a look at that on the spreadsheet. Well, let me talk about what I traded last time was DOW. I lost $680. Okay, so now my record is, since my last update, 30, 24, and 9, about a 55% win rate with 678 average win and 625 average loss. You can see the results over 2022, 2023, and 2024. Let me put that number in there. What was it again? I'm going to update this spreadsheet here. 7807. 7807. 7807. So you can see I'm down 18% this year on the Earnings Edge. So the Earnings Edge does have some volatility, and you can take some losses here on your way to some wins. See, only up 56%. I was up 100%. So you got to think about that when you deal with the Earnings Edge. It's volatile. There's a lot of people making money with it. I'm one of them. I'm about 56%, but I am in a drawdown period right now. Let's talk about the S&P 500 or the SPY. It's trading at 584.77, so it's up a little bit this week. Okay, so the S&P, the SPY is up 23% this year to date, up 24% last year. The S&P 500 doing very, very well in the last couple of years. Difficult to outperform the S&P in the last couple of years. So we'll see how I'm doing here shortly with a couple of my other systems. Let's see, so that is the Earnings Edge. Let's talk about now the new account that I'm going to start sharing, which is the PL5 Pro. Remember, I'm running the PL5 Pro S&P variant, which you're seeing, but I'm also going to run now the PL5 Pro. So the PL5 Pro here, I've got this in the spreadsheet already, but it started from July 19, 2024, and I'll show you why here in just a second. Started the account with $403,907. And S&P on that day closed at 548.99. So you can see the comparison, or SPY, right? Represented by SPY. So let's redo. So this number here, 584.77. Make sure that's correct. So since this time period, July 19, 2024, it's up 6.52%. Let's take a look at my account. Let's see where it lies. This is my PL5 Pro, not the variant, just the actual PL5 Pro. And I have my Schwab account here. And you can see when I had money in the account, they kind of took money out. If I go to, what I want to do is start fresh, right? So the reason why I'm starting fresh, you can see how much money is contributed. So you want this to be 0 here, so I'm going to move this around to get that to when it was 0. So watch, if I put this on the 16th, you can see that I withdrew $27,000. So that's why I can't really start from there. So I start from the 19th. And you can see that no money's been put in or withdrawn. So now it's kind of a good starting point. And you can see that the account is up $38,000. So my value as of, what's today? The 20, yesterday. well, I'll look at it on Thinkorswim. But you can see here, I just wanted to give a good starting point here. And the reason why I started on July 19th is just because now you can see that there's no net contributions, right? So let's start where there's no net contributions. So if I go into my account for the PL5 Pro, it is my 527 account. This one here, 442.50. So I'll put that into the spreadsheet. 442.50. 442.50. 442. Did I say 050? Let me double check that again. No, 441,970. So let's go with that. That's what it's at now. 441,970. 441,970. Okay. All right. So you can see here the comparison of the Premier Level 5 Pro. This is not a variant. Where I started with about 404,000. You can see I'm up 9.42%, outperforming the S&P since July 19th, 6.52%. So this is the PL5 Pro. Obviously, it's one of my larger accounts, and that is my fourth account now that I'm going to be sharing. All right, let's talk about my PL5 Pro S&P 500 variant. Right, this is the one where I have around a $30,000 account, and I'm using Interactive Brokers. So let me refresh this. And you can see my balance is 32,002. So let's put that in there. 32,002. And you can see how this account with the S&P 500 variant is outperforming since July 16, 2024, 6.67% versus the S&P 3.82% from this date. And that is the S&P 500 variant. This one will draw down with the market. It's more tied to the market. It's the S&P 500 variant. But you can see that I'm outperforming the S&P 500. That's my goal. And there we are with the PL5 Pro S&P variant. And now let's get into the safe wheel. So with the safe wheel, my safe wheel account, I have a lot of accounts here. So it is 649. And my safe wheel is $6,007. Let's put that in there. Oh, it's down just a little bit. And you can see down on the year, did well in this grind down market. And then with these bull markets, seems the safe wheel isn't doing quite as well. I don't expect the safe wheel to necessarily outperform, versus 24% and 23%, but I expect it to do a little better in these bull markets, but we are where we're at. And the safe wheel's up 20% since 2022, the beginning of 2022, and the market's up 23%. But I do have about only half the drawdown, so on a risk-adjusted basis, the safe wheel is still outperforming, but on a nominal basis, you can see that it is not outperforming anymore. But we'll see what happens here in the future. So that is the safe wheel. Now let's talk about what I'm going to do next with the safe wheel. And let's look at what happened last week. So what I'm doing with the safe wheel is basically running the traditional wheel, but also with a hedge. So I have two hedges. This is the hedge. This long call here is a hedge for my hedge, right? So this particular put does have some risk because I have some money invested in it. So I hedge it with this long call, which I spent, I only spent about 2 cents on this one last week on Friday. But then the question here is, on this hedge to manage it, my question is 3 questions. Number 1, do I own 200 shares? The answer is no, so I do nothing. If I did own 200 shares, I would see if this thing paid off. Number 2, is it under 100 days? No, so I don't do anything. And then number 3, is $24 this strike price close enough to the actual price? And for me to know that, I need to do a calculation. So is this $24 within 33? So 24 divided by 33. I want to see if this is above 70%. I'm okay. Obviously, I'd prefer it to be closer, but if it gets below 70%, I will move that strike. But it is within 70%, so I'm going to keep it. So I'm not going to do anything with the put hedge. Okay, now that I have my hedges, I want to run the traditional wheel. You can see here that I got assigned at $34. So I need to sell a covered call. I own 100 shares. I want to sell a covered call at $34 or higher. So let's take a look if I can do that. Maybe, and I also want to get at least 34 cents for it. So let's see if that's possible. It might not be. So I'm looking at the calls, the $34 call. Yeah, so I can't get 34 cents for this. And I need to get at the money or out of the money. I don't want to sell in the money because then I can get called away from my shares at a loss, and I don't want that to happen. So I'm going to open up tier number 2. I'm going to open up second tier. I'm going to sell another put, and I'm going to go to wherever I can get. I'm going to be out of the money, which I'm barely out of the money at the $33 mark, and I want to be able to get at least 33 cents, 34 cents. This one here, $32.50, would be better, but I can't get enough premium, so I'm going to sell the 33. I'm going to do one of these. So I'm going to collect premium, ABC, always be collecting. I'm always collecting premium with a safe wheel. That's the difference. One of the differences between the safe wheel and the traditional wheel. So I'm always collecting premium. So I'm going to sell one 33 put. And the sizing, if you have any questions about the sizing, let me know. I can explain that. Let me make sure that's locked in. Yeah. Okay. Okay, that filled. So we can see that I just collect 46 cents. Now, I could possibly own 200 shares when I come in next week, which is fine because I've got 3 long puts, so I've got that covered. I will not do another layer or another tier. The most I'll own is 200 shares. I won't own 300 shares because I need my put hedge to be able to pay off. Okay, so that's my trade for today. I've traded everything live on YouTube except for this, whenever I buy these calls on Fridays for like $5. I haven't shown that on YouTube, but everything else is shown. Every other trade that I've made in this account has been live. Okay, so that is the safe wheel. Let's see if there's any questions. Kevin, good morning. Good morning. Devin says my audio's good. Kevin told me my audio's good. Let's see, some guy, let's see here. Can you explain the rationale for taking the Dow trade, as it seemed an odd one to take based on the earnings edge criteria, a large volume of tranches, higher commission costs? Yeah. So the Dow trade that I took, I don't think I've ever traded that one before. It fit all the criteria except for one. It was a little, sometimes you're not going to get it 100% perfect. There was one thing that wasn't so good, and it was higher commissions. Those commissions on there, I think, were about $60, $70, $80 going in, $80 going out. So, I had about $150, deficit. But a lot of the times these things make much more than $150. So I decided to go ahead with that trade. So that was the reason why I went with Dow. There weren't really any other good stocks. There's nothing else there. I think this week there's going to be some really good ones. Avery says, hit the like button. Please do hit the like button. That would help out. It helps other people find this video, which would help them find my Real P&L channel, which will help them, I believe, get these guys that are out here selling stuff and claiming that they're profitable. Let's get them to actually share their P&L. Let's see if they're really profitable, and that's what my channel is all about. That's one of the things my channel is all about. Devin, what time do you buy the new call on Fridays for the safe wheel? Pretty much the last 15 minutes, the last 20 minutes, last 30 minutes of the market. I want to do it at the last minute. as close to the right before the market closes as possible. But I don't want to get too close because sometimes things happen with a platform or whatever, and you need a little more time. Shovel says he's first, even though Kevin was before him, and Devin, and some guy, and Avery. Okay. Shovel, FYI, my PL5 trade is fully allocated now, and all 4 trades are up as of today. Yes, the PL5 Pro system, it's doing well, and I appreciate you letting everyone know. Thanks. Silver now over $34. Okay, and I'm looking at SLV at close to $31. I used to own a lot of calls on silver, but let those expire. Avery says, yay for the PL5. It's doing well. Well, you can see that now. You have my PL5 Pro, the newer, the P&L that I'm sharing on my 4th account. You can see how the PL5 Pro is doing. Some guy, LRCX was the trade last week. Got out way too early. Ran plus 100%. So I'm assuming you're talking about the earnings edge and LRCX. I did not see LRCX in my, I didn't filter through that. I don't remember that trade. I must have missed that one. There's a lot of people in the community that are not trading anything that I'm trading. They're trading, and they're diversifying too. They're trading more than one at a time. And most of them are doing better than I am, much better than I am. Arthemos 98. When do you expect to open up the PL5 Pro training or the cart? Currently, I don't have any plans to open up the cart right now. But you can hit the link in the description and get on that waiting list, and I'll definitely keep you updated on the next time I open up that cart. I might be opening up the cart on an individual basis for 1 or 2 people a week, because it's easier to help people out when there's very small numbers rather than bringing in 20 people at once. But be sure you're on the list and you'll know when that occurs. All right. So I don't see any further questions. Any other questions before we move on here? All right. Well, I appreciate you guys, and one thing I always like to say in parting: if the P&L is not real, what else are you trying to conceal? I'll be back next week. Oh, quick question before I leave. Ed says, have you had periods in the past where the EE has produced several losses in a row? Yes, one other time, and right now, so twice since 2022. Okay, guys, I'm going to wrap it up here. I appreciate you, and I will be back next week. We'll see you then.